I'm Mother Mulan, and welcome to IC Stories Manila, episode 25, where we'll be talking about Kinic App. Ayan. So, hello po sa mga napakaaga nating viewers dyan. Matik na guys. Sino pa ba una nating i-greet kung hindi si Scout Martin? LFG! Yes, let's go! Thank you so much for being here, Scout Martin. Katchi Chaz, maraming salamat. Jeremiah, Eugene Ezama, hello. Azimatul, hello. Um, Nana, Tia, hi everyone, LA Embroider, ang Ede Colleen. Maraming salamat po for being here. This is going to be a really good episode. So, na-check ko na yung project na ipapag-uusapan natin ngayon, and there's so much potential, and I can't wait for you to hear yung stories behind the project as well. So, of course, you know the drill. Sir Nelson, nandyan ka na ba? Andyan na ba siya? Okay, hindi pa siya ready. Medyo nahihiya pa daw siya. Bigyan natin siya ng warm welcome para ma-hype siya na pwede natin siya i-welcome sa screen natin. Thank you so much. Grabe, ang dami pa nag-hello. MH, Mercurius, hello. Thank you so much. Dan, hello. Chide, kumusta? Maraming salamat for being here. Maku, hello. Ayan, Dia, maraming salamat po. Also, quick reminder you guys, at the end ng AMA natin, pwede po kayo mag-send in ng questions, pwede kayo magtanong, and then yung 5 or top 5 questions na pipiliin natin ay of course, merong makukuhang ICP. Ayan, so stay at the very end para i-share namin sa inyo kung paano nyo makaklaim yung mga yon. You can send as many questions as you can. Kahit ilan po yung tanong ninyo, pwede po. Very much welcome. And yun din ang dahilan kung bakit nag-AMA tayo ngayon. Hello, Aaron. Kumusta? Alpia, thank you. Legend Records, wish him luck daw. Good luck sa'yo. Ayan. So let's call in Sir Ape and ask, kumusta bang landscape ngayon? How he's feeling about the episode? And let's talk kung ano bang highlights or anong linulook forward to niya dito sa episode na to. Sir Ape, how are you?
Hello, good evening.
Good
Can you hear
evening.
me? Yeah, sorry, I had to
Yes.
restart my Wi-Fi. Naglolo ko siya. So, good evening sa mga viewers. Yeah, thank you for all those. We have comments na, no? Ang dami na.
Yes, sabi nga ni
So,
Dandan, ay question is key sa ICP. This is very much true. So prepare nyo na po yung mga questions ninyo. Sasagutin natin lahat. We'll do our best to answer all of them or most of them.
if you're
Yan.
not following us yet, please follow us at ICP Manila kasi marami tayong ongoing right now that I've been sharing. Not only within the ICP Manila, but also within the ecosystem na nangyayari actually. Extended yung hot or not na
Yeah.
registration for the SNS. So napakalaking bagay nito. And yung guest natin mamaya, kakatapos lang nila SNS. And I think umabot na sila around 500,000 ICP and still growing. Napakalaki nito. Meaning to say, yung project nila ay magiging DAO. So magiging DAO ito, magiging part owner kayo. Magiging part owner kayo ng project nila. So isipin mo yung startup company na magkakaroon ka ng opportunity na maging part of it, maging part owner. So that's a big deal, no, in the future, especially in the bull run. But moreover is you'll be part of something na may mga tao nagde-develop nito para mag-grow.
And
So
the
napakalaki
project
nito.
itself, no? I think, bigyan na
Yeah.
natin sila ng quick background. I know we're gonna talk more about this, pero para mas ma-excite kayo kung ano nga ba ito, no? So, Kinic is going to be a Web3 search engine. So,
Yes.
napakalaking bagay na ito. I mean, nakikita natin sa Web2 ngayon, yung power and yung growth na nangyari, yung pagputok ng mga search engines natin, no? Ito yung go-to
Yes.
natin, no? Ka-open mo ng laptop mo, ng phone, sigurado, parang walang araw na hindi ka gagamit ng search engine. 'Di ba? So imagine yung magiging impact nito dahil ito yung Web3 version niya, guys. And then, ayun nga,
Yes. That's
chance ka
correct.
na maging part of it dahil nga very early on and magiging daw nga siya. So, ayan. What are you most excited about, Sir Ape?
Yeah, I think I think for the viewers really to follow us for the latest developments within the IC ecosystem. What I'm excited about is the market.
Yeah.
Medyo bullish ulit yung market if you check the market
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
we're really pumping, and
Kaya
I think
ang
this is,
natin tonight. Everyone din, no? Grabe yung energy kasi ramdam ko na nagkaroon din ng spike. Not only in the market, but also in the energy of our viewers.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and I want to learn more about the project, Kinic.
Mm.
And right now, meron sila mga staking rewards if you join, no? So,
Mhm.
and if you vote within the NNS,
Mhm.
and alam ko napakalaking reward na naibibigay right now.
Yeah.
Later on, discuss more ni Wyatt, ang ating guest.
Mhm. Alright, so dahil nabanggit niyo na siya, I feel like it's very much appropriate as well na tawagin na natin siya. Ang dami na rin sa comments natin, nararamdaman ko na, no? So, let's call him in. Help me welcome, please. Help me give a very, very warm welcome kay Sir Wyatt Benno, the technical founder of ICME. Hi, Wyatt. How are you?
Hi,
Hi,
Wyatt. Good evening.
good evening. How's
So
everyone?
nice having you here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so we have a lot of questions for you. But before we go crazy on the questions, tell us a little bit about yourself. Help us get to know you.
Yeah, I am actually currently based in Japan. I've
Mhm.
lived there for 8+ years. So I'm relatively close to most of your viewers, probably. We're, I think, an hour time difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a fun journey for me. I actually started my first company quite a while back. I worked for venture capital and private equity before. I started my own company. The first one that was successful was actually in 2019. It was a digital office space where you
Yes.
basically click on rooms and have meetings like we kind of are right now.
Mhm.
The thing with that, though, is 2019, everyone's like, that's crazy. That's not going to be popular at all. Like,
Yeah. Then
no,
the
that
pandemic hit.
and it became very popular very quickly. I
Yeah.
think all of the universities that are major in Japan started using it.
Mhm.
And I ended up selling
Wow.
that in 2021 and then jumped back
Mhm.
into Web3. And when I jumped back into Web3, I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
actually hard for me. I'm technical, like to get used to it again.
Yeah.
There's a few things I needed to relearn. And when I was doing that, I thought about all the salespeople, marketers, promoters, etc. And wanted to build a tool that was easy for them to use. So I built a no-code infrastructure tool called ICME or ICME, whichever one you prefer. And from there, like we would get famous bloggers joining the platform, and they would say, "Hey, my SEO is horrible now. Like, I came to Web3 at the time, and SEO is completely like smashed. It's basically no one can find my stuff anymore." So the initial idea for ICME or for Kinic started from there. Like, how do we help people moving to Web3 get better SEO? And then Supernova hackathon happened, and we started brainstorming for that. And I found the method of doing it on the IC, and from that method, Kinic was born. So the very beginning was very focused, and still is very focused on the IC community, how to find new projects and how to discover these new things. In the future, we're going to expand to a few different blockchains as well, and maybe throw in some Web2 data. But we can talk about that in a little bit later. But that was basically the birth and the idea behind the Kinic idea.
Yeah. How about the name? Like, can you walk us through what was the thought process for the name?
Yeah, it's very
unique. The name was actually from kinship, and then the IC. So kinship and IC kind of just merged together.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In Japanese, like Kinic is kind of sounds like a clicking noise, so there's that too. But it's a mixture of two different things. So
I love how it also subtly incorporates the culture that you grew up with. So that's a very interesting personal touch as well. So talk to us. What is Kinic about? Like, if someone asks you about it, to explain it in like 2 sentences or less, what is it mainly about?
Yeah, it's the world's first 100% on-chain search engine. So that's the 1 sentence version.
I love it. I said 2 sentences.
That's
I was
correct.
generous because I was like, ooh, maybe 1 sentence is not enough. But you explained it in such a very concise way as well. And we were talking earlier that this is going to be a very big thing because we know the impact of search engines now. So to have one that's for Web3, it's amazing that you guys started this.
That's important actually. Yeah.
So what's it like building it now?
Yeah. Actually, there's some good comments in the thread already. Like, what are you guys doing about AI? And I think that's a very valid and awesome question.
Yeah, I saw that.
When you're looking at search right now, when you go to Google, etc., what you do is you basically type in something and you get like results. And at the very top, a bunch of advertisements. And then it's like stuff that people paid for at the top, and there's something called SEO that like it might be the best thing, but it's probably not. SEO algorithm. It just happens to be at the top.
Yeah.
So I think the future of search is very much about AI, and it's very much about typing stuff in the AI knowing what you meant when you were doing the search. So Kinic, the roadmap right now is a merge of ML and blockchain. So in fall, we'll have this release of our search engine where basically we have something called zero knowledge machine learning, which allows us to host trustless SEO on blockchain. And you'll be able to use it with machine learning models. So it's a mixture of those two things. It's really the future of search, in my opinion. So what you have is SEO that's completely trustable. So like it might.
That's what we need. Yeah.
Right now, like you can get pushed down in the ranks. Your site can get deleted. XYZ can happen. And you really can't do anything. This is very central. But if you have something on chain running accurately 100%, I think it's gonna be very cool for Web3 and all websites looking for discoverability.
Game changer for sure. What do you think about that, Sir Nelson?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, AI will be integrated with a lot of things, especially with the search engines. If that will be possible, that's going to be a game changer, definitely. I've been using ChatGPT right now relentlessly, and it does help. But of course, you have to edit a lot of things. But it does help, especially if you're stuck with your thought process and everything. Maybe Wyatt, can you show us how it works, or Mulan, can you show into the screen the Kinic app?
Yes. So it's this one, right?
And maybe on a technical aspect, can you tell us more, Wyatt, on the logic on how the dApps are sorted when we search? There are popular when I search with games. Of course, there are popular ones. Is it based on popularity, or how's the logic on it?
Currently, what happens is you have to claim a site as official. The reason for that is because there's a bunch of sites, like you might have staging and test sites. So the ones that are coming up the top right now are the ones that people have claimed in the past that they are official, or they've mentioned them in other social media, so we know they're connected. So yeah, if you claimed your site, it's official, and that gets pushed to the top rather than having test sites. Actually, if you click on games, you can see that happening. So that is the biggest thing. The second thing is relevance to your search term. So whatever is closest to is the second thing. And then very last is actually clicks. So if something's popular or trending, it does end up to push a little bit up in the ranks. But it's not really big on that right now as much. So.
Okay. Currently, of course, will there be a downloadable app in the future for iOS and Android?
We can kind of already do that right now because we're using React.
Yes.
So like probably do that pretty easily. I don't think it's that huge of a challenge.
Yeah.
Right now, we're definitely focused on a few different things with the token, like how to use the token and utilize it within the app. So that's where we do first, and then we'll probably move on to.
How does that come in? Like, how can you give us like an idea of how it's going to be incorporated as well?
Yeah, the very first and easiest use case for us is actually API access. Right now, like people can just use the API whenever they want. There's been a lot of researchers in the ICP community who've asked for data or asked for certain things. Dfinity actually was one of those people at the very beginning who was asking for fraud and phishing sites that were hosted on the IC, and we helped them out with that. But there's people who are researchers who want data access, and what we'd be able to do is say, here's the data, provide some tokens in return for that. And I think it's a very easy, straightforward
That's a good point.
As we add more chains, it'll be more and more valuable because then you have all this data from a bunch of different chains.
For sure.
Yeah. So like for example, you're a VC or you're someone looking into NFTs, you can potentially like find the newest NFTs coming out or the ones that are the most popular or the companies that are coming out. You can find the most popular companies that are trending right now in the IC and Web3 space. So there's a lot of really useful data inside of Kinic that's not really accessible right now. And the API will be a lot about that.
So while you're building this, sorry, go ahead.
No. I just want to circle back, although it's pretty generic. But basically, you mentioned about discovering Supernova that happened last year, which is very successful, and a lot of projects basically benefited from it. And you'll also be part of the OG Supernova. But tell us more about your discovery into blockchain, and how did you learn about the internet computer?
Yeah, like you want to hear about how I learned about blockchain?
Yeah, feel free to do so.
I
How did you
actually,
fall in this rabbit hole? Why are you here?
Yes, I think yes, that's correct.
well, back when Satoshi was around, it's actually kind of ironic. My brother was into something called the Silk Road back in 2000, whatever, 10. I was probably 14,
Wow.
13.
Yeah.
I learned it first. I think he was actually mining Bitcoin in our basement with an older computer. And I asked him the other day, I'm like, how did you guys do like private tokens back then? And he said, you would just mine new coins and you just need the new ones. So it was like back in those days where it was so easy enough to mine that you can just have a regular computer doing it.
Yeah.
I definitely known about like Bitcoin and blockchain ever since the very beginning. And he was on the forums, etc., doing that stuff. He was a little bit older than me, so my older brother.
He's a
But
rich guy.
it was a very bad impression, right? First impression, and it was like illegal activity and stuff on the Silk Road. So
Very
like,
sketch, yeah.
it's pretty sketchy. I don't really want to get into that. But I was definitely a software person, and he was much more the hardware person. So he was into, like the actual computers, etc., and I was more about building software or hacking software. But it's interesting because he became like he was into NFTs before anyone else was, and he's like, "Oh, you should build an NFT marketplace." Like if you go to NFT marketplace, there's nowhere to buy and sell them right now, so it'd definitely be a big hit. I'm like, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. Why tokens? But
Yeah.
I ended up being
Dang.
very, very wrong, and it like skyrocketed, and he became a very wealthy person off of that. Very good luck and very good.
Good for him.
Trending. But me, on the other hand, I had to work for a living. I kept doing software development in companies, and I've followed the space very closely ever since then. I jumped back out in a few different times. I've done SaaS companies, Web2 companies. The company, one of the first companies I actually founded was called CoinTract, which didn't ever go anywhere. But there's always been a experimentation with Web3.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a very interesting story. I mean,
yeah.
I think among all of the stories that I've heard, yours is definitely one of the most interesting ones. And I'm so happy that your brother got really lucky, and then now you're still in the space as well. So that's a good story. Now that you're building this very big thing, what would you say are the challenges that you guys are facing? Like, what are only if you're comfortable in sharing? Like maybe, just the struggles of building this.
Yeah, the only thing right now that is very struggling and hard for me is I don't have enough time. Like I have, like there's so much stuff all the time. Hopefully, I get now that we did the whole SNS thing. Hopefully, we can get one more person on board. But it's all about like focusing and building right now. So it's build. We'll get someone to run the SNSs and maybe be able to focus even more. And then 100% is all we're doing. But that's super challenging because there's been a lot of requests from the community over the last 6 months, like, hey, we want XYZ, and there's just not enough time to do it. But I feel right now that we can definitely dive deeper in and hit some of these features as quickly as possible and get something cool out there for sure.
I mean, it's a good problem, I would say, because comparing like what you're going through now to the stories you've been to the story that you've just shared, there wasn't enough trust around blockchain yet, or like the community in general. But now we do have that community, no matter how it's not as big as we want it to be yet, but it's there and it's strong, and they're very, very much supportive as well. So yeah, it's a good problem that you guys are facing. So and I feel like your roadmap, the one that you shared, it's very promising, and it's exciting to watch it unfold. So congratulations in advance for that one.
Thanks.
Yeah, Wyatt. Yeah, congratulations with the recently SNS launch, and you have a lot of part owners right now, and of course they have a request, a clamor to do things. And what's the team? How many are you in the team right now? And what are we looking at in terms of growing the team in order to deliver the roadmap and the promise of a DAO to really grow it, not just now and into the future, in the coming year, to the next bull run?
Yeah. Kinic was actually incubated at ICME, and ICME still has a team that exists, but there's separation now because now Kinic is a DAO. And there's a few things that Kinic needs to do by itself. And like right now, the core devs on Kinic are 2 people, and there's 1 person kind of helping out with the odd job tasks. So it's 3 people all together. So it's still a very tiny team, but they'll have the support of ICME no matter what. So there's always that as well. Like the work that's being done at ICME is based around ZKPs. So we're doing a lot of zero knowledge proof type work there as well. And so I think there'll be some overlap there in terms of help and assistance for Kinic. Kinic will be, right now we're trying to make it so those devs can only focus on doing dev work. And I'm going to be one of those devs, like just focusing on the dev work for it. And then we're going to get someone probably to help out with the other things. And we'll see what we can do in a 3-month time frame and kind of base it off that. Like if we're doing really good and good progress, we'll keep it at that. If we need more people, obviously, and we're growing fast, we're going to need to do something about that as well. So it's really about just testing the waters the first 3 months to see how we go, how we build, and what type of requests and traction we get for those 3 months as a DAO.
Can you tell us more about the decision to make it a DAO by SNS, and what was the thought process for the team story behind it? Can you tell us more? What was the journey and the steps that you took going to SNS? Was it easy or a lot of consulting?
Because I love the face change. Like
you are the second. You are the second open internet service that launched via SNS. Before Open Chat, and it's very successful. Tell us more, and a lot of projects really wanted to hear about this.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think it probably can help a lot of people who are looking into it right now. The reason why I thought Kinic should be a good DAO project is there were a lot of requests from the community for access to data, to certain features. So it's very much from the beginning, it was a community-focused project. Like, how do we get these companies discovered when they make something new and cool on the IC? Like it just goes missing. Like, how do we get it found? So it's really always been about the community. I think of it as more of a community good. And that's one of the reasons why SNS is very appropriate, because the DAO members are obviously interested in the IC and interested in success. And Kinic is all about like getting it discovered so it can be successful. But yeah, the process of doing SNS is pretty crazy. It takes quite a long time. I think we started doing like diligence and other stuff maybe 6 months ago. The white paper creation. We started the white paper very, very early on. We looked at the things that we need to do to make the DAO like functioning and the tokenomics behind the DAO. I think maybe 3 months ago, we actually started speaking really heavily with the Dfinity teams. And they're awesome, super helpful. They like do help you do tokenomics and do a bunch of other stuff. If you have technical questions, they're always good to ask. Then we started doing testing of like what happens when we don't own the canisters, what happens when they're like all controlled by the SNS.
Sounds intense.
There's a lot of testing, a lot of things breaking all around. So I think the last like 2 months has been mostly focused on that rather than doing like the product, which is kind of when you think about it, it's kind of like, oh, the product has been slacking a little bit for 1-2 months, but really there's been a ton of stuff in the background that's been going on.
I agree.
And our backend code, we actually open sourced, I think 2 months ago. And there was a whole process behind that too, of getting it like up and ready to go. But the cool thing about it is CandyB was another Supernova winner, and they're an open internet database. But since Kinic needed to be open source as well when we were using CandyB, they open source completely. So we have Kinic open source backend, we also have CandyB backend. So there's a whole bunch of stuff right now that developers can use for developing on the IC. So I think it was a pretty good win for the entire community because there's a bunch of cool stuff now that everyone can use. And I think all projects doing SNS should definitely, like, open source is super important for it. And it's also good for the community to help like contribute to doing Motoko code or whatever code you might be doing. So
thank you for that, Wyatt. You're very, very generous with that. What do you think are maybe give 3 tips or advice for the other IC projects looking to being a DAO via SNS?
The biggest mistake that we actually made was when we pushed it live, we were doing developer stuff and we had no idea about the marketing at all. Like, it's like,
I was gonna ask about it.
That's important, actually.
So do you have someone on board already for the marketing?
No, there was an assumption about it. Like, before the SNS, like when we launched, there's an assumption that like if you SNS, it would automatically hit the goal and you just win. But in reality, what happened was there was a few things in the United States and globally. There was a whole like downpour last week. And also the fact that we we didn't market correctly. Like people were like, "What is it? What are you guys doing? I don't get it." Or they did get it and they're like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, so there's a lot of communication during the SNS sale actually. So we had to go on like AMAs and like have a bunch of Twitter spaces just to get people, like even our users
to
like
clarify everything. Oh, this is what it does, and
our users didn't even know that, like how to do the SNS. So a bunch of people were like sending us messages like, "I want to contribute. What's the SNS? Like, how do we use it?" So like, there's a lot of explanation. Like, oh, you have to buy ICP, you sign in here, and you do this. I think teams that are looking in the future to do it, even if they have lots and lots of users, they need to show the users how to participate in the SNS. I know hot or not is probably going to do it soon. And they say they have XYZ amount.
Oh yeah.
They're prepping
users like do this and press here to help and contribute. If they don't do that, it doesn't matter how many users they have. It's just like there's no way for them to contribute. It's very, very hard. So that's definitely something people should do before they do SNS, is like find a way to get the user to be able to contribute.
Yeah, so that's why we're extra grateful that you're here, because I feel like AMAs really do help, because the community would ask you questions directly and ask you to clarify things for them, which we'll go to in a little while. Thank you so much for everyone sending. I'm so overwhelmed because my right side, because of the group chat, the live comments, it keeps on bumping because of the questions they're sending. So I know you guys are excited, but we'll get to your questions in a while. In the meantime, please keep sending them. So in terms of marketing, let me just circle back to that. What are your plans? Because you have like the general marketing, but also per country, there's like you also kind of have to understand their culture, right? So we're based in the Philippines. Can you give like maybe some of your plans? Can you share how you're gonna market this specifically for the
locally,
Asian market?
regionally?
Maybe,
I think it's a super hard question. Most of the data that's on the IC right now is in English. So
exactly,
it's pretty tough for a lot of people. We can have a translate feature. I am based in Japan, so I don't think anyone in Japan, there's like a dozen people or a few dozen people who know about the IC and know Kinic. But the language barrier, I think globally, is a very challenging thing because most of the data on the IC is actually English as well. It's either English or Chinese. You might have a translate feature added in so it can help people who don't know those two languages. But once again, like if they're searching in the search bar, if you searched in Filipino right now, it'd probably not show very much.
Of course.
But yeah, I think right now the goal with marketing is actually to attack the whole Web3 narrative a little bit differently. The technology we're building is actually really cool. And the cool thing about Kinic is right before we decided the SNS, there was actually a bunch of very famous venture capital people coming to us, and they're asking for one specific technology that they would want to invest in. They didn't really care about like Kinic as a search engine. They cared about one specific thing we're building called the ZKML. So there's technology really people really like about Kinic that Kinic has that can actually make an impact on like people's perception of the internet computer. And if we're able to do that on chain 100%, I think it's going to be a big thing for a lot of people globally.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the impact of that as well. And I feel like we are also, since we're still at the very beginning stage. So generally, it's just difficult to translate the language or to communicate what we're building. To people who aren't into the space yet. Yeah, and
Wyatt, sorry, Mona. For Wyatt, for our maybe non-technical viewers, can you tell us more about ZKML?
Yeah. Right now, if you run an ML model or if you're using ChatGPT, how do you know not people typing in a room somewhere?
Okay.
How do you know it's not just people in a room? Do you understand the question? How do you know? How do you know?
Okay. How do you know if it's an AI or not? Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
There's no way you can know, and also they can be cheating. They could be saying it's ChatGPT-4, and it could actually be ChatGPT-2 doing it. So what zero knowledge proof?
Wow, you just triggered like trust issues in me.
The Terminator and everything else behind like robots.
You scared me by it.
Have verifiable computation through zero knowledge proofs. You can make sure the AI does what it's supposed to do. So that the mix of those things are called ZKML. So if you're using ChatGPT 4, you know that's what you're using and that's what you're paying for, and you're getting the benefits from that. And for a search engine, like we have SEO, right? How do you know the SEO is running properly? And with the zero knowledge, you can actually verify yourself that it's running correctly. But then there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with that in general. Like you can have private inputs. You can type something in and we won't know your inputs. Or you can have models that are running on chain and know that they're running correctly. So you can have like a bot that's a DEX bot doing DeFi trades for you automatically on chain. So there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff you can do with a mixture of verifiable computation and AI models. So
this is so interesting because as a user, obviously I'm not into like the technical things. I have zero clue about them, but as a user, I don't even think about these things. But hearing it from you and hearing how this could really change the game, it just makes sense that we really need this. I think the line that you said earlier best explains it. Like, you can trust that whatever you're typing or whatever shows up is because it's the most relevant to what you're looking for, and not just because it was manipulated, like, or was an ad or whatever. So I feel like, totally a game changer in searching. So we have like some comments from the community. This one's from Esther. Very important. Are there any ongoing process to help speed Web3 Kinic site in terms of traffic and other regions to access the site?
Traffic and other regions to access the site. What is the nature of this question? Is it asking for like marketing?
Actually, it's quite quick. The site is quite quick.
Yeah, the IC right now, I think the response time is like 1 to 2 seconds. We could potentially do like caching to make it quicker. So it's in general, like what we can do also is like when you type, it could be showing results while you're typing, so you can get an idea of the results. There's a few tricks we can do with the UI, but generally speaking, results on the IC are around 2 to 3 seconds, which is normally fast enough for most people. But there's a few things we can do to make it feel more quick, for sure.
I'm not sure if she's asking in anticipation of high
like
usage.
a lot of users. Yeah, I feel like high volume, like in terms of it's adopted.
Will it be delayed, or crash or something? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a proxy because right now we're a index of the IC. So if the IC is trending, we get a lot of clicks. Like it goes up. The IC is not trending, we go down. Now to break out of that, we need to add different data sources. It could be more different things about the IC, or it can be different chains, or it can be like Web2 data. There's a bunch of different things we could do to make it attractive to other people as well. The fact that it's hosted on chain is important because then it's verifiable. So technically we could do like very specific data that might need to be secret or might need to be processed in a certain way. So there's a few different angles we can go at to get more users, but we should do that when the token's like has a little bit more utility and they can pay in token.
Okay.
I have a question here comparing Kinic with the graph. Are you familiar with the graph?
Yeah. The graph has back-end data for Ethereum. So it's kind of the same, but we do front end. I think we're the only one that's allowed to do front end right now, or that's able to do front end data. And the reason why is that the IC is very good for hosting front end products. So we have you can actually go click a link and view something. The graph is very much about back end data. So it's like, what is the smart contract doing XYZ? What functions does it have? In the IC, there's a few of those as well. I forget their names, but there's a few like back end data searches. But we are definitely the first one that did front end indexes that are hosted on chain.
I agree.
So IPFS is another chain that has front ends. Arweave is another chain that has front ends. But there's more and more stuff that's getting hosted 100% on chain, and that's where we're going after first. That's all the data that's in Kinic right now, but it's not the limit of what we can do. There's other things we can do out there as well. So
I think the graph has had a head start a few years ago in terms of popularity as well, with a lot of influencers promoting the graph. But you really have an advantage here, to be honest, especially the booming AI right now. With ZKML.
Great time to be building. Like the timing is spot on.
It's SNS launch right now. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to the growth of Kinic and ICME Labs.
What's the roadmap like? let's talk
Yeah,
about the
the future.
immediate future. Yeah, like this year. What are your main goals and the other tiny ones that you want to hit?
Yeah, there's a few bug fixes we're pushing tomorrow that will help search be a little bit better.
Mhm.
The first thing we're going to do is utility, like how do people use the tokens within the app, and the API I already spoke about.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
fall, we're going to push our on-chain model, which is the ML portion of it, to be
Mhm.
100% chain as a new canister, which is going to be in
Yeah.
SNS as well. So there's going to be more components coming out in the fall that focuses really on the ZKML stuff. So in the
Mhm.
very, very near term, it's I would say house cleaning. Like we're doing the front end. We're
Sorry,
probably
what?
room cleaning, just cleaning up a few things.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, okay.
okay.
On the
Yeah.
front end, we actually might have like a community thing where we outsource like doing the way it looks to the community
Mm. Yeah.
ICP for like the
That's a good
design.
idea.
Yeah, the design that looks the best.
Mhm.
So it could be a global type of event where like the code's open source, so anyone can
Yeah,
change
yeah.
the.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and right now it's okay. Like I think it's an okay front end. It's a cool design, but there's a few things like that we can do for sure that will help make it look better and more presentable, and also get
Yeah.
better results. A very, very near term. Longer term, like fall is where the
Yeah,
cool stuff
yeah.
come out, and that's what I'm more excited for. Is like a little bit like midterm roadmap.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'd say beginning of next year is when we start looking at alternative data sources as well. We've already like figured out how to index a bunch of different stuff, and it's just a matter
Yeah.
of like doing the code to make it
Uh-huh.
actually edit
Yeah.
on.
The
So,
execution, yeah.
are there any specific technology advancements or upgrades? Yes, there's so many different things that we're working on, but there's a very good focus on something called ZKML. If you don't know what that is, please look it up because it's a lot of our roadmap is based around that.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, I have a few specific questions, Wyatt. Yeah, I mentioned earlier with regards to the staking rewards right now. There's a Twitter thread ongoing right now that they're getting big percentages in NNS for staking. Yeah, can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I think there's also a few people mentioning in the chat there might have been an issue as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You're following a neuron. Like I thought the same thing today too. I looked at it. I'm like, oh no, there's no maturity on my personal one. I'm like, oh, there's no maturity. Wonder what happened. But if you actually wait a few hours, it eventually shows up anyway.
Yeah.
Mine showed up, I think, after like 10 hours. It eventually showed that there was maturity in there. But yeah, there is decent maturity for Kinic. I think it's like 2.5% annually for in terms of maturity bonuses. So if you get in now and wait for a year, you get a bunch of free Kinic, which I think is cool to incentivize early adoption for sure.
Yeah.
And staking very early as well. So I think the tweet you're mentioning actually is that person was very excited about the fact that they got a bunch of these tokens for just voting.
I mean, who wouldn't be, right? Especially if you are this a very early supporter of it. So it's gonna be a flex. Like 5 years from now, that person is gonna tweet again and maybe like share a screenshot of, oh, it was here before, right?
Yeah.
So very excited for that as well.
Our whole thing, especially, or my mentality behind it in general, like we did NFTs before too, like the crowdfund NFT for Kinic. I think we're the first project that gave them like a huge bonus for doing that early support. So we're always about, or like the Kinic DAO, as DAO members, we should all be about like giving back to the community as much as possible.
Agree.
Yeah, empowering them and incentivizing as well. That's a good way to strengthen the community to get them excited, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. I have a community question with regards to the Kinic OG NFT. What are the plans for it?
Who sent the question?
Those are top secret. We're definitely going to do
Oh.
It was directly sent to me.
Oh, okay.
I won't name him.
There's definitely a lot of really good plans for the OG NFT, and I think it's going to be around maybe training your own private ML model. You'll be one of the first people who's allowed to have an on-chain model that you have for your own personal use cases. But those features that come out, I think what's going to happen with the OG NFT is you'll get first access, and you'll be basically a beta tester and also be able to use it very
VIP perks, yeah.
VIP first person to get access and kind of mess around with it before everyone else does. So there's a bunch of stuff around that, and also maybe utility of the token as well.
Yeah, great. Another one, the Kinic token. available now, of course, on ICDexes. Will it be available anytime soon on centralized exchanges as well?
We want to be the first one to get actually
Yeah.
on a centralized exchange. So we're gonna try. And there's a lot of different things we need to do to get that to happen. And one is obviously traction.
Yeah.
But if we can do it, I think like Binance or even Coinbase is the potential in the future if we get enough utility.
Wow. Yeah, I
Enough-
mean, that would be mind blowing. Imagine having
Yeah.
it listed in such exposed platforms as well. We have a few more questions here. Do you see any
Go
that
ahead.
you want to answer, or
Let me look real quick.
oh, someone's asking about security. So can you talk to us more about this?
How safe and secure is your platform? We don't actually hold any private data. So that's one of our other philosophies at Kinic as well. If we don't need your private information, we don't take it. So there's nothing really to protect. We have a bunch of data about canisters and public information that anyone can find.
Yeah.
So the audit plans, we don't actually, that's one of the reasons why we kind of didn't really need an audit.
Yeah.
There's no like secret data that we have about you. We don't have data about you. We don't even have Google Analytics. I think a few other basically all the other search projects you use in Web3 are projects that have front ends. Might have search analytics and they steal your data and do a bunch of weird stuff with it. We have
I know.
not doing that. At the very beginning, it's like one of our thesis is that privacy matters.
Yeah.
So
It's a
there's
big
nothing-
deal, yeah. Especially in the space that we're in now. I mean, I feel like we're being violated, but in terms of like privacy. So hearing that from
It's
you,
being sold, to be honest.
yeah, I know. So again, hearing that from you and your project, that you guys are very respectful of that, brings a lot of trust to the project. Okay, thanks for that, Samuel Jams. I think we can still answer
Yeah.
a few more questions. Do you see any?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do have
Yeah.
I wanted to ask actually. We've been talking about Kinic. I really want to talk about as well with ICME Labs.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us more about it. Yeah. How does it work? ICME Labs incubates Kinic. So
Are you also planning on
yeah, tell us
incubating other
more about it.
projects?
Yeah, ICME Labs incubated Kinic. I already said the story behind it.
Yeah.
The roadmap for ICME Labs as well is actually doing a zero knowledge virtual machine. So ZK WASM implementation. So it's kind of relevant to what Kinic will need.
Yeah. Very aligned.
Yeah, there's shared incentives there to work together. We really want Kinic because it's a DAO now. Like it should be community owned and community. Things that the community want to get done take priority of anyone else. So we're going to have definitely very specific routes like proposals to get the community's stuff done first. So there's, I think, even a backlog right now of like 3 to 4 months of people asking for certain features, and we're going to post those as proposals to see which ones people want the most. But right now, I would say like being a DAO is completely different than being a startup, or completely different than being a company, because it's you're just a member and everyone else is also a member. So there's a lot of group thinks and discussing in public, and also on forums, etc., to figure out where the DAO is going. So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, go ahead, Mulan. Let's get some more community questions.
Yes. So I've been checking. I feel like you were so generous with your answers that you've covered most of them.
Some
So
of the
we'll try to look for more. Here's one from Samuel Jams again. I feel like throughout the AMA, you've talked about the competitive advantages that you have and why this is going to be the next big thing. But can you like summarize 1 to 3 killer features as to why you're going to be ahead, or why you are ahead now of potential competitors in the future?
The Web3 or the Web2 competitors is a very different question. I think the Web3 ones, the fact that we're hosted 100% on chain is definitely a huge benefit to us.
Oh yeah.
Hosted on chain, you can basically trust the information that you're getting provided, and also we can, in an automatic way, we can do different things like indexing. The other ones that you'll see that exist in the market right now are either not on chain, or they are like half on chain, or they're not like at all. They don't even care. Like they're just running on.
It's just there. Yeah.
And I think the way that we go about indexing is very unique as well. We have a very good process of collecting the data that we need for the front ends and other chains as well. Yeah, for Web 3, that's the competitive advantage. For Web 2, I think it's a little bit different. It's around the SEO model. Like, how do we know the stuff is running properly and verifiable computation? Let people know that. So, like, if you're an SEO person or a blogger or whatever, you're going to want to come to Web3 and do your stuff because you have trustable SEO. Like, you won't. There's actually something on. I can't actually name competitors, but there's something.
You almost did, though.
Something up there right now where basically you get a penalty if you're a new website or a new project for 1 year. So there's a Web2 competitor out there. If you ever build anything new, the first thing they do is they push you to the very bottom. They're like, this is new, we don't trust you.
That doesn't make sense.
The Web3, everything's new. So everything just
and
a bunch of sites get hidden and a bunch of projects basically are just never heard about because of that reason. So if we have on-chain versus that, like, it's obvious what's going to happen.
Get more visibility.
Things that are popular are going to be discovered easily and go up further up the rank. So there's, I think the incentives are the big difference that changes from Web 2. Like, we have an incentive to do right by the community and get apps discovered. And Web 2 is very much about ads. Like, how do we get money from advertisers to do certain things? So it's about basically selling your data for money and also showing you ads to make money. And that's Web 2. Web 3 has a completely different mentality. So.
So since you guys aren't doing that, so what's the revenue model looking like for Kinic?
I think it's gonna be about personal use of data. So there's websites like Nuance, etc., that want to use it in their own private. It's not private, like on their internal websites. So if you index all of Nuance's blogs and search from using Kinic search,
good point. Okay.
You can use it for that way. Also, like, if you want to put in your own data and have your own like on-chain ML, you can potentially do that as well. There's really good use cases for that too, like medical and things that should be private that companies might want just to run by themselves. I think in short time, the IC will be good for that type of data as well. The private on-chain data that you might want to search and have verifiable would be a good target as well. So,
our promoted sites, you think is okay also?
There's. I don't know if it's still working after the SNS, but there was definitely a feature that we have that allowed you to basically buy an ad. But it might be great.
Okay.
You can buy an ad for your site and it gets pushed to the top and it says like, this is an advertisement.
Promoted. Something like that. With Web 2 right now.
It's going to be transparent still.
I think it's funny about
that's good.
Web 2 search story though. At the very beginning, like, no one thought it would be a good idea. Like, everyone's like, this is like not going to work. There's Yahoo and there's all these other like directories. I think with Web3 search, we actually have the completely different angle where people are like sick of Web2 search and like how it kind of like messes with them.
So now they're actively looking for Web3 search engines, and here you are providing that need. And providing the solutions for them. So again, I feel like this is such a great timing. It's such a great time for you guys to keep building, and it's so nice to see that that's exactly what you guys are doing. So and we always say this: people who build during the bear market, that's how you know they're serious, because there's a lot of doubt, a lot of fear during this time, and people less interest. So to see you guys still working very hard and dedicating your time and effort to making sure you hit your roadmap is just amazing. It's incredible. Do you have events coming up, or are you participating in anything else very soon? Talk to us more about what we can expect for Kinic.
Currently, we're looking into making an NPO for Kinic called Kinic Developer Organization. That's what kind of run the promotion and distribution. It works much like Dfinity works. Like, Dfinity is an NPO that supports IC blockchain. So there will be something very close to that for Kinic, and that will have most of those results. I really don't want like a centralized voice for it. I really want it to be community driven and very much a DAO. So we can have a few different smaller entities kind of doing different things in the space. And also the community. I see a question that, will you take community questions? Yes, 100%. We have an OC dApp, and we also have on Discover, we have the portal that
Discover.
Everything the community says is very important to us, for sure. And it's definitely about like, if anyone can make a proposal now, it's a DAO. So if you want a proposal and you think people will like that idea, definitely
Yeah.
post it. in one of
Where
these
can they voice out, like concerns or some recommendations to you guys? Like, how can they reach you or your team?
Yeah, there's 2 different links. I can send them to if you want to. Discover is
Yes.
one, and the other
Okay.
one is Open Chat. Let me drop the Open Chat one.
So we can add these to
let's
the description.
highlight
I'll
it
also send it in
on the description. Yeah.
Yes, the comment now, so you guys can check it out just in case you do have recommendations. Because I've been seeing also, like, aside from questions, there are some comments on suggestions. So maybe they could add more value or some
They
ideas
can
to the things that you
communicate
guys are working on.
to the team directly. Wyatt, will you be attending any conferences soon, like the ETH community conference on July in Paris?
Many people have asked me that in the last like 3 weeks. Are you going? I
The
actually,
That's a big one.
going.
I came back from Miami last month. Like I went to a bunch of events in Miami, and I was in the States for like a month in total. So I'm done. Like I just want to build for a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe do more events in fall again. But no, I'm not planning it. My partner from ICME might be, but I don't personally gonna go. So
Yeah.
Are you going?
No, it's too far for us.
But
Maybe
next year.
We went to the Hong Kong
some
one
of the conferences.
and I think anything near Southeast Asia, within Asia, I guess we can.
Oh, do you have plans on, or maybe your team members and building a community here in the Philippines?
Actually, we're near. There's something that we can do, collaborate. Agree.
Yeah, we can definitely brainstorm about that and talk about it for sure.
In Q4 maybe.
In September. I mean, that's a very big month for Web3 space here in the Philippines. So it would be interesting to see you guys there, or for Kinic to have visibility here in the Philippines as well. So let me just quickly pop some of your socials as well, and while I'm doing this, maybe you can invite them to follow, or again share some of the things that you guys are working on, or how they can support you and the project in this growth.
I'm just looking over the questions again too. We
go ahead.
This is the main Kinic search, our main Kinic Twitter feed. I think we're gonna move over to Web3, like Discover and OC more, but this will be like the important thing will still be posted here for sure. So if you want to follow along there, it's definitely good to follow along. Technical updates we'll do sometimes there as well, because the stuff we're doing is pretty technical, and it's going to be cool for people reading if you like technology. Do we have a community for non-English speakers? Right now, most of the data on the IC is English. We would like to add more community stuff as that comes up.
I agree. I did see a question with regard to creating videos as a guide. I think that's a good idea as well.
I think you also mentioned how they're not doing it, right? So maybe this is also something that you guys can apply to Kinic.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I think there's a few community created videos out there. Members of our videos that the community has created in the past to kind of like try Kinic and what it does. The features change and the UI I expect to change pretty quickly from now on. So maybe you'll make it outdated like a month later. You made it so I think near term you might want to not do that, but maybe a little bit in the future after fall you would probably want to do a little bit more. But I do expect stuff to change and progress and become better and better every day, basically, or every week.
And we love to hear that, right? I mean, you could just keep producing content that's updated, or who that are also growing along with your project. So I feel like we've hit most of the questions. So thank you, Wyatt. I mean, again, you've been so generous in answering all of these, and even with the information you've been sharing. So thank you so much for answering the Filipino community's questions, telling us more about Kinic and even your stories. We hope to have you back here, and then maybe next time, like you said, daily you guys are you guys have updates. Hopefully in the next few months when we talk to you, We'll have more to talk about, and maybe you can invite some of your team members so we can also hear about
Agree.
what they're working on and their thoughts on where you guys are going to be going in the next few years.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you for having me on. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Wyatt, thank you very much. Yeah, we won't take so much of your time because, of course, happy birthday to
To your
to the
wife. Yeah.
wife. So
Happy
I
birthday.
know, yeah, you have a party right now. So, but yeah, definitely looking forward to doing something in the future, collaborating. We're technically near Philippines, Japan. It's not that far.
I'll be there next
So
month. Maybe I'll bump into you somewhere.
yeah, Mulan will be there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do vacation there, and maybe just sitting down and talking about a few things
Mhm.
that we can do and collaborate. Definitely.
Cool. Sounds good.
Uh, yeah, let's keep the communication open.
For
Thanks,
sure.
Wyatt. Thank you. Hope to have you back here again. And yeah, thanks for letting us know about Kinic, and hopefully we get to talk to you really soon. Thank you. Have a great
Thank you
night.
very much, Wyatt.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Ayan. So, Sir Ape, what's the highlight for you ng Kinic?
Yeah, I think yeah, kakatapos lang ng SNS actually.
Hmm. Ganda ng
Very
timing
big
nila, no?
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
down na sila. So more challenges to come for them as well in order to
They work
grow.
fast, though. No? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've interviewed so many projects, and I feel like meron na tayong idea kung gaano kahirap magdaw. So for
Yeah.
them to do that in what, 6 months, I feel like that's very impressive, and it speaks to how well the team is. Siguro ganun sila ka-coordinated and ka-sharp in planning as well. So ayun, nakakatuwa naman na very active sila. And na-mention ba niya ilan sila sa team?
Yeah, really a few developers that he mentioned.
Mhm.
Mabibilang lang sa kamay natin. So,
Yeah.
but they have plans to grow kasi kailangan nila, yeah, so kailangan nila
Oh
mag-add ng
yeah, of
people.
course. Mhm.
So, if ever meron tayong mga technical developer who wants to participate, of course, contact them directly
Mm.
and you might get an opportunity, di ba, with that project, maging part,
Yes.
di ba? So I think bottom line is SNS, pangalawa, marami pang darating.
Oh yeah,
And
oo.
yeah, very bullish ito,
Mhm.
especially if yung projects na ito ay maging malaki in the future.
I feel
So,
like ang laki ng potential din niya, no? Because
malaki.
as we said in the beginning, ibang klaseng search engines. And one thing he pointed out was before Google, kasi Google yung top ngayon, right?
Yeah,
Yahoo yung big thing. And when Google came into the space, they were like, tama. Bakit pa kailangan meron na tayong Yahoo? So I feel like eventually, we'd also feel the same way na nakasanay natin ngayon is Google, but eventually we'll be looking for something more progressive or something that's keeping up with the times, lalo na ngayong may AI tayo. Mhm.
yeah. So, yeah, let's have, actually, malapit lang si Wyatt actually, no? So,
Right? I mean,
oo.
Sir Ip, anong hinihintay natin?
Oo nga, oo, tama, di ba? So, we can
Mm,
do some collaboration, especially for Q4.
yeah.
And actually, napakalaking bagay nito if magawa natin ICP Manila together with an international project and
Mm,
doing something within Manila, not only within Manila,
yeah, yeah.
within Japan. Um, yeah, big deal siya, no? I
I
think
think
yun
this
yung,
month din yung Japan Blockchain Week.
really,
Or July. Yeah.
okay,
So it would be interesting, like you said, if we
I
can
agree.
work together. Kasi sila yung meron talagang steam din, no? Sa
Mm-hmm.
IC space now. So
Yeah,
very interesting to talk to them and just hear yung thought process as well in building
tama.
this and yung challenges din nila.
Yeah, we can do that definitely soon. But right now, naisip ko really is to invite them over here sa
Mm,
Philippines and really have more users no, na Filipino
yeah.
and meetups in real life.
Mm,
That's something that we can do.
mm.
Challenge for us pag sa Japan. Of course, wala tayong language. Si Wyatt lang may language in
Yeah.
Japan.
I know.
Uh, that's a limitation. But here in the Philippines, of course, English mas madali.
It's fine, oo. Though malaki na rin naman na yung Web3 community doon. So I feel like we'll still be able to build something
Yeah.
there and we can still leave an impact for sure. So yun,
Yep.
sabi ni Dandan, search engine talaga important lalo na sa Web3. Oo. And kakaya na na-mention natin, ang dami ng ano ngayon, no? So yun nga, may AI na tayo. So how do
Thank
we
you,
incorporate
Dandan.
that and how can we make yung mga meron tayo ngayon better? Because there's always a way to improve, 'di ba? So I feel
Yeah.
like Kinic is the gateway to that, yung bridge din natin to transition yung ano natin, search engines. So Sir
Yep.
Ape, aside from that, meron pa ba tayong anong events ang dapat nila i-look forward to sa ICP space natin? And shameless plug na ulit tayo ng ating Twitter.
Yeah, we're follow us on Twitter. We'll be doing a lot of university events. We've been preparing for it. Once it starts, it's going to be
Very
continuous.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for July. Right now, we're
Mm.
focused on global. Actually,
Yeah.
marami tayong global guests, global viewers. But we'll be doing it focusing really locally
Mm.
and on
Ang
ground.
dami nating pwedeng i-cover. That's how
Yeah,
exciting this space is, you guys. Sana
yep,
nafe-feel nyo, not only sa episodes natin, pati sa Twitter natin, because there's so much coming. Ang dami talaga.
yes.
Whether developer ka or consumer ka, marketer, whatever you are, kung interested ka lang din, there's something for everyone really in this space and in Internet Computer Manila.
Yeah. Yep. So follow us and engage with us in real life and sa mga DMs sa social media. That's it.
Yes. And then, yung mga nanalo natin na mga questions,
Yes, pag
oh,
na-feature kayo, message DM sa ICP Manila Twitter.
yes. So we have Dandan, Cici, Jeremiah, and 2 from Samuel Jams.
Yes.
So good for him.
Good for him.
Congratulations, you guys. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. And then, ayun nga, meron tayong mga sinend na links sa chat natin. I'll try to include them sa description box as well. Para kung meron kayong mga questions pa na maisip nyo mamayang gabi or like in the future, you can directly reach out sa team nila and have them
Yeah.
answered. So, ayan. Maraming salamat po sa mga team replay natin dyan. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
very much.
I hope you have a great night. And ayun nga, sabi nga ni Sir Ape, sana i-follow niyo po ang ICP Manila para updated kayo lagi sa mga events natin. Thanks everyone. Sir Nelson, have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Thank you
Bye-bye.
everyone.